March 4th, 2020. This is Joe with Simple Life. We don't always talk about politics here. I do watch a lot of movies, and specifically I like horror movies. And I wanted to do a little bit of review on The Invisible Man. I did not know what to expect going into this movie, and there will be some spoilers, but I will warn you of those. I'll put those at the end. This is not going to be very long, but I did want to talk about this movie. I didn't really know what to expect going into this. I really expected something like Hollow Man from, I believe, early 2000s with Kevin Bacon, if you remember that movie. I wasn't really impressed with that movie because it just wasn't, the idea was good, but it just really wasn't done very well. And I'm a big respecter of Kevin Bacon. But this movie was a little bit different. It was from director Leigh, I think it's Whannell. I think his name's Leigh Whannell, and he actually wrote this movie. At least he wrote the screenplay for it, and he has actually written for a lot of other movies, including the Saw franchise and also the Insidious franchise as well, both 1 and 2. Now, if you haven't seen Insidious, Insidious was a very, very smart movie. It is really hard with horror movies to be smart because sometimes the horror genre just gets full of itself, and it just kind of relies on a lot of tropes when it comes to that type of genre. A lot of camera angle scares and so forth, what's behind you. Now, this movie was full of that, but it did it in a smart way. And I felt like when I was watching The Quiet Place, because I was always waiting for something to happen because nothing was there, but you thought something was there. It was a similar type of feeling that I got with The Quiet Place, and I thought it was done really well. Elizabeth Moss and the other, I think his name's Aldous Hodge. They play really well off each other. Of course, Elizabeth Moss is the main character, and she plays opposite Aldous Hodge, who is a police officer. And she's recently just got out of a bad relationship, as we see in the first scene. She is running away from a rich tech tycoon who has supposedly created some sort of technology to make himself invisible. Of course, no one really knows about this. It's all kind of hush-hush, and it's all experimental. But she's the only one, of course, along with him, that knows this technology exists. And so she is able to escape from her confines of a self-controlling, narcissistic sociopath. And he is everything that she describes him as being. Now, I'm not going to describe the whole movie, but I'm going to tell you why you should watch this movie. I think it's even worth watching it in the movie theater. I hardly ever say that, but it really is worth watching. It's very thrilling. It has some good twist at the end, even though you kind of see it coming. But it's really done well. The ending is really done well. So, what do I like about this film? I like that I like how intense it is. I like how it keeps you kind of guessing on what's going to kind of happen next. Even though you have an idea what's going to happen next, you really don't know. I like how she starts off not so much as normal, but she goes from completely chaotic to somewhat normal back into complete chaos. But of course, we've seen that, and that is a typical story arc, from normal to complete chaos back to somewhat normal, or some sort of variation thereof. But I really like the way that we get to see her just go down into the depths of paranoia, self-doubt, and complete craziness. If there's a lack of better words, I mean, she just completely goes crazy in this movie. And you can't blame her. If you were to put yourself in her position and something like that was happening to you, yeah. But it's typical with these types of movies that the main character is unbelievable. And sometimes you think that maybe she is crazy, that none of this is really happening. But that's the fun of the whole thing. Now, if you're looking for spoilers, I am going to go ahead and spoil some things for you right now. So if you don't want to hear anything, just go watch the movie. Okay, so spoilers. She's not crazy. Obviously, when she leaves this boyfriend of hers or fiance or whatever. She drugs him with a type of drug, and she's able to escape, and she takes some stuff with her. She steals some of his things, some of her things, I guess. She is basically a prisoner. Of course, he's a sociopath. And she moves in with her sister and her husband. And he is a cop, and he has a little girl, and they are good friends. And so basically what happens is that she still believes that he is after her, even after her own brother or his own brother comes forward and says, nope, he's dead. He killed himself. We cremated him. And now he's left you with $5 million out of his personal trust. So everything seems okay. She's giving money away. She's paying for college educations. And she's trying to get back on with her life until he shows back up again. And he starts tormenting her. And she can't understand why. She believes he's dead. Everyone does not believe her for obvious reasons. Even her brother comes back and says, you know what? He's dead. Here's the photos. He's dead. But she doesn't believe him. And she tries to get help from other people. But what ends up happening is he ends up actually committing murder. And she's pinned for it. So now everyone thinks she is completely crazy. And she's in a nut house right now. And he's also followed her to the nut house. But she has other plans for him because now she has found out that she is pregnant with his child. And now he doesn't want to harm her so much as to keep a close eye on her and to get her to come back to him. Of course, this is done through his brother, who goes and offers her a deal. Says, hey, if you'll come back and live with him, have his baby, then all of this goes away. I'm not exactly sure how that would be possible, but that's the deal that she was given. She says no. She goes back to her room and proceeds to try to kill herself. Well, he's been there the whole time, and he tries to stop her, and then everyone sees the Invisible Man for who he is. She stabs him multiple times. There is a gunfight. Security guards are murdered in the process. It's a huge bloodbath. But at the very end, when the Invisible Man goes back to her house where the police officer lives with her child, she's there by herself. The child's there by herself, and he starts to attack the child. She warns the police officer to go back and to protect his child. And he does. But he gets beat up. But then she comes back and then she shoots him. And then we see that the Invisible Man was none other than the brother. At least that's what they want you to believe. But she still does not believe it's over. She still believes that he was behind it all. Now they find him. He's no longer dead. He has actually been encased inside the wall of his basement by his brother, supposedly. But we know this isn't true. We know it's not true. That's why she wants to set him up. She actually sets up a sting to go in there and try to get him to convince or to actually confess to killing the cops. I guess the cop's partner, who she was accused of killing. But he doesn't do it. But he does give her a clue that he did by saying surprise. And that's an important key that I left out. But there was a phone that was actually in, I guess, the attic. And he gave her a text that said surprise. It was from his phone. But that's why he says surprise at the end and said, yep, that's me. But he doesn't realize that she knows where the invisible suit is. She goes and puts on the invisible suit, comes back and makes it look like he killed himself by cutting his own throat. Then, of course, she takes the invisible suit off and says surprise. Now, this might seem like a very simple plot, and it is, but it's I think it's very effective in how it's done. Now, if you just listened to the spoiler, and that's fine if you did, it's still worth watching. But yeah, that's anytime I watch a really good movie, and I feel like other people should watch it as well, I try to put a review out there, and I'll continue to try to do that. Until next time, this is Joe with Simple Life. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.